Well, hello everybody. My dad carved these birds years ago. He was quite a talented guy. He was a mechanical engineer, but he could do just about anything. And carved these beautiful birds and gave them to family members. And here's this cool raccoon that he carved. He did these things after he retired. And here I am, I'm retired now, so I thought I'd try my hand at carving some birds. Well, I figured I needed some soft wood of some kind. I had this butternut lumber stacked up, and so that's kind of a soft wood. So I glued 3 chunks of this together. Before I started, I drew out the outline of a bird on there, and then I cut that out on the bandsaw. Now, with this power carving, you can buy various discs and so on, and this one here is kind of an interesting disc. I just ordered it, and it just came yesterday, and I know that thing is going to be really sharp. I thought, well, I want something to hold that bird while I'm using that grinder to take this down to the shape of a bird. So I made this little thing to attach the bird to, and I just screwed up through the bottom into the bird there. So right here I'm drawing out the shape of this bird on the top here. I've never really made anything in 3D, so this is all new to me. So now we'll get started here, and it's the first time I've used anything like this to power carve wood, so I'm going to take it nice and slow and easy here to start, just to see how this disc is going to work here. So the idea is just to rough out this bird, and then my dad had a Dremel tool that I plan to use to finish the bird up, do the fine detail and so on. But this angle grinder here with this disc on there can really remove a lot of material in a hurry. And once you use it a little bit, you kind of get the feel for it. Now eventually I decided that I had to take that off from that holding block there and hang on to it by hand so I could do a better job of shaping there, and that could be a dangerous situation, so just going very lightly there to just get that basic shape of that bird. Well, here I am, and I didn't want to do too much more on the head with that heavy grinder. I got the back just about right, so I think the bird is roughed out. All right, well, hello folks. Since I saw you last, I broke my finger. That's the first broken bone I've ever had in my life. I was volunteering at our local cemetery. We're fixing some old monuments that were tipping over, clear from the Civil War days. And I got pinched by one of those monuments, and I broke this finger right out here towards the tip of it. And that was just a couple days ago, so I haven't been doing much. But I'd like to see what I can do here to get this bird going and finished. I decided to mount my grinder here on this table, because that way I can use 2 hands on the bird, and I can watch closely as I'm grinding. And I think it'll be a lot safer. I ran it the other day like that, and I liked it a lot better than trying to hold this with one hand and grind with this. And then sometimes if I have it mounted on my block here, I can't get at the places I need to with the grinder to take it down to the level where I can work with the Dremel tool. And speaking of the Dremel tool, I had that thing going, and that was my dad's, and I think I burned it up. So I plan to buy another Dremel tool, but in the meantime I got this Foredom unit, and it's like the Dremel, only it's a heavy-duty unit made to run continuously, and so I can not worry about burning up the Dremel tool. This Foredom is a professional woodcarver's unit, and it has a foot pedal where you can control the speed of that hand tool, so that's pretty nice. I decided that if I'm going to do this power carving, that I wanted to protect my hands. These grinders are really sharp and they're spinning very fast, and so I found these gloves online, and they're embedded with these metal beads, and so if you happen to touch your grinder to your hand, you stand a better chance of not getting injured. Now, of course, with that broken finger on my left hand, I should have the glove on my left hand right now as I'm running this grinder, but of course it won't go over the finger. I bought those gloves to put on when I'm running that big grinder. That's the real dangerous one. I'm done using that now on this bird. Now this Foredom tool is like the Dremel tool in that they make a lot of different grinders that you can attach to that hand set there. And I've got kind of an aggressive grinder on there because after using the big grinder, now I'll use this little one and I can really get things smoothed out pretty well. And then I'll get the sander out and run that orbital sander over this bird, make them real smooth. Now, one problem that I can see is if you've got a wide section, that Foredom tool is so small that you won't be able to use that. It's made more for detail work, like on these tail feathers here. You can get right in there and really see what you're doing and take off just what you want to. And like that beak, I did that bird's beak with this tool here. Alright, so I'm new to this bird carving, and I'll show you a close-up here of what I got going so far. And I can get it pretty smooth. There's places where I'll have to use that orbital sander to get it down where I want it. Now, I was hoping this bird was going to look like a seagull, and I discovered that the beak is not quite long enough for a seagull beak. Okay, well, this bird started out to be a seagull, and it's my first bird that I've done, and so I thought it looked more like a pigeon than a seagull, so I'm painting it up as a pigeon. Now this is the pink pigeon, and I just thought it was a cool looking pigeon, and I got reading about it, and it was an endangered species here not too long ago, located over in Mauritian Island, which is in the Indian Ocean. And it was quite a project. At one time there was about 10 or 15 of these birds left in the world, and it was a great effort to bring these pigeons back. And now I guess they're doing okay with continued conservation efforts. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of a cool looking pigeon. Yeah, so I guess it was like 1991. There's only 10 of these birds left in the world, and conservation group took on the project, and they brought it back. I guess there's around 500 birds now, and their goal is to reach 600. Apparently there's only about 2% of the habitat left over there where these pigeons used to live and breed and so on, and so they almost went extinct. And I read some place where there's all kinds of predators over there, and they had quite a rat problem. I guess the rats were after these birds. So anyway, we got ourselves a pink pigeon here. And my goal is to have this look like a pink pigeon from about 10 feet away. I still have to do the legs and the feet, of course. But this guy's coming along. Okay, this is the little piece of butternut that I'm going to mount the pigeon on. And I put a couple coats of polyurethane on there. And now we'll get those legs ready and get the feet on. And all those parts were made from little pieces of dowel. I just held them up and sanded them on my sander. And now we're going to glue those onto the base of those legs. So the legs just stick down in those holes, and then these toes here will just glue right up to the legs there. Well, I guess they're going to look like birds' feet. For this first project, I've had a lot of fun trying to come up with ways to do this so that when we're done, we kind of look like a bird. There we go. This is just the way these things work with me. When I start these projects, sometimes they end up being something different than what I had in mind when I started. And it leads me in all kinds of directions, and I just enjoy learning. And I would have never learned about the pink pigeon had I not started this wood carving project. Well, that was quite an adventure, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, why don't you consider subscribing and join us here once in a while on Tim Tools 99. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.